This is why if getting bigger didn't make you more confident, then getting bigger is not going to make you any more confident. Let's be real. What is the number one reason that you started going to the gym? If you're like me, it was because I was a skinny teenager who felt super insecure around women and wanted to build more muscle so I could feel more confidence. And this is a story that you hear all the time. Skinny guy, lacks confidence, builds muscle, confidence transforms, right? The story that you don't hear all the time is how for a lot of guys who go to the gym and build muscle, that insecurity underneath never goes away. I would know. I went from painfully skinny guy to working as a topless waiter and still felt cripplingly insecure in my body and around women. And this is what I mean by the insecure gym guy syndrome. And I call it that without any trace of judgment, because a lot of guys turn to the gym to build confidence because of wounds that run deep. And when that confidence never comes, a lot of guys are left not knowing where to turn. And if this resonates with you, then stick around, because I'm going to tell you exactly what worked for me to help me build the kind of confidence that's not this bullshit, oh, I never feel fear or ever again, or I never feel like I lack confidence, but I've still been able to transform my body and build a life that I never really thought I was going to be able to live. So while all my early entrepreneurial adventures were failing in my mid-20s, I was supporting myself by moonlighting as a topless waiter. And that was wild because before that, in my early high school days, I actually got a lot of shit from a few of the attractive, popular girls. And bullying is a strong word, but as an insecure, skinny little teenager, it really did suck. One of them was actually my first girlfriend who ended up turning around and becoming one of these perpetrators. And that was brutal for my confidence. And a lot of what they went after was my body in the way that I looked, in the way that I dressed. So coming out of that, I had a lot of insecurities to get over. And I had a lot of motivation to hit the gym. When I finally did build some muscle after 9 years of failing, I told that story in a previous video, my mobile bartender job called me up and they offered me to double my pay if I would make the same cocktails, but just with no shirt on. And so average shift would look like this. I'd go to the warehouse and pack the van with some shitty pre-mixed cocktails and then drive out to some Airbnb to arrive at a hen's night. And I'd spend the next 4 hours with my shirt off, blending fucking strawberry daiquiris behind a Kmart trestle table, like back to back to back to back, while these girls would just smash these drinks and only stop for some respite when I'd have to run some game, which would be like pin the junk on the hunk, where they had blindfolds on, they had to try and pin a dick on a poster of a dude, or body shots where they'd roll a dice and wherever the dice landed would be where they'd take a shot off your body. It was fucking chaos. Let's just say that I saw an interesting side of humanity, right? So you'd think that after that transformation from skinny guy to topless waiter, I'd have all of the confidence in the world, right? Wrong. And you know, if you'd seen me, it might have looked like I was confident on the outside, because I could kind of fake it and talk the talk at work. But underneath, my body insecurity and my insecurity around women had gotten even worse. In truth, I was more obsessed than ever about how my body mustn't look good enough. I was just, every single week as Saturday would approach, I'd get this pit of anxiety in my stomach, just worrying about the weekend. I was like, what if they don't like me? What if what if I'm not shredded on that day? What if they're like, actually, no, this guy's still too fucking skinny. This is bullshit. We paid all this money for this. This is all of it was dominate my thoughts, such that I would, do really extreme stuff to try and control the way my body looked. I'd stop eating on a Friday night. My shift was on a Saturday night, and I'd train in the gym for 3 hours that morning and then not drink any water and jump in the sauna for 45 minutes and not drink any water after that as I drove to work. All just to try and look a certain way to essentially not be rejected by these people at work. No amount of validation made a dent in the fragile, ego case wall that I was putting around me. And any attention that did come, thought they just were being nice. This is pretty classic relationship to body for this gym guy insecurity narrative arc, which I now know is super common. All the stories that you hear people tell go, hey, yeah, I lack confidence, then I built muscle, now I'm a stud. And when that doesn't happen for guys, they're left wondering, hey, is there something wrong with me? Don't get me wrong, there's a sense of progression and achievement that comes from the gym that is always there, that is healthy and rewarding. But when that brutal inner critic doesn't go away, it often gets louder. And if you've been in a similar situation, you might have made the logical conclusion that I did, was that, hey, I just need to get bigger, right? Maybe if I don't feel good now, maybe it's just because I'm not big enough. Because I see that guy over there and he seems to be confident, he's bigger than me. So therefore, you can see how just in an instant that you repeat that cycle enough times and you can fully see how the fitness industry is awash with body insecurity, body dysmorphia, drug use, and eating disorders. So why do some other guys seem to get that confidence from building muscle in the gym, but you don't? And the simple answer is that a lot of the insecurities that get in the way of that confidence that we carry stem from deeper emotional places. Masculine confidence comes from two things. Number one, experience of yourself as competent in similar past situations. And two, a deeper sense of trust in who you are as a man. Now, you can be the biggest Chad you want, right? If you've never disarmed a bear trap, right? You're probably not going to be super confident doing that for the first time. And that's for good evolutionary reason, right? A lack of confidence in a certain scenario can teach us to proceed cautiously. And that's a good thing, because a lot of guys that didn't have that sense of lack of confidence didn't survive long enough to reproduce. Going to the gym takes us, amongst other things, from a place of incompetence around our body to a place of competence. We build capability and confidence inside of that scenario. Depending on how you train, there's also an associated benefit of being able to handle yourself physically more. And of course, women generally find guys who are in shape more attractive than guys who are not in shape, right? Not saying you have to be a giant behemoth bodybuilder, but generally in shape. Knowing all that can give you the first ingredient of confidence, right? That general sense of capability in similar past situations. But the second ingredient, that deeper sense of trust and worth in yourself, is calibrated much earlier in life. It comes from the lessons that we learned as a child and the messages that we received from our parents or didn't receive. When we're children who can't fend for ourselves, love equals safety. So when you consistently receive messages that you were loved and supported for the person that you are, even when you make mistakes, you learn through your experience in life that it's safe to make those mistakes, for example. And this generally leads to what they call in attachment theory, a secure attachment style. When you've had that secure attachment with your parents and have given you what you need, we can then be like, okay, it makes sense to keep behaving like this with the other relationships in my life, whether that be through friends, colleagues, or romantically. However, when that same love is absent, deliberately withheld as punishment, smothering on the other side, or replaced by something like anger or violence or blaming or belittlement, we learn a very different kind of lesson. And when that plays out in our relationships with other people, we often end up looking for the reassurance and confidence that other people find inside of themselves. We often end up looking for that outside of ourselves. Even if your parents were awesome and did their best, everyone carries some level of trauma, big T, little t, whatever you want to call it, because unless healed in the individual, trauma repeats cyclically and generationally. So when a parent or a high school bully dumps their unintegrated stuff onto you early in life, that's an example of projection, right? They can't handle what's going on inside, so they put it onto you. Now, as a healthy adult, we can say, hey, that's your shit, that's not my shit. And we can draw that kind of line. It took me a long time to learn how to do that, but that's something that's available to us as an adult. But as a children, we haven't really developed the hardware for that yet. So when those projections become something that I take on about myself, that's called an introjection. And when projections become introjections early in life, that's partly how we form, the beliefs about the outer world forms our belief about the inner world. And these things are always mirroring each other. Along with it, we form our subconscious sense of identity, of self-worth, and of what we deserve and what we don't deserve. So how does this relate to fucking building muscle and confidence, right? Well, because of this truth, because of this projection-introjection relationship, even if we build capability in a certain domain, such as the body or money, a deeper sense of confidence and grounding often fails to materialize when we're carrying some of those deeper introjecting wounds. The kicker is, building more competence on top of these wounds often doesn't fix this problem. And it only takes one look at all of the miserable millionaires and insecure influencers in the world to see the truth in this. This is why, if getting bigger didn't make you more confident, then getting bigger is not going to make you any more confident. Same is true for making more money, even sleeping with lots of women. You know, making money solves money problems. Learning dating skills solves the problems that learning dating skills solves. Building muscle solves the problems that building muscle solves. But these are all external solutions. And external solutions often do not solve internal problems in the case of us carrying some deeper beliefs about ourselves. And the worst mistake that we can make, and the mistake that I've made over and over again in my life, that I see my clients making over and over again in their life before they come to a place where they're ready to do some deeper work, is that we keep on reaching for external solutions to try and solve the internal problems, and we wind up frustrated and wondering why it's not working. On the other side of a lot of work, both in the gym and also outside of the gym, I'm in a place of confidence in my own life that I never thought I would be. Again, it's not that I don't experience fear and doubt. I grapple with those things pretty regularly, especially when I set pretty big goals for myself. But they no longer control my actions in my business or in my relationships. And that's allowed me to experience a deeper quality of those things than I honestly ever thought I was going to be able to experience. And the kicker, the key ingredient for that change inside of myself was when I started to approach the solutions to my lack of confidence in line with the two ingredients of confidence. So not just focusing on the real world competence, not just focusing on trying to work on myself, but doing those two things together. So to build that real world confidence, I absolutely believe that I'm going to continue to work on my body, work on my finances, work on my social skills. But to build that deeper sense of trust in who I am as a man and belief in my worth as a man, that's where I used shadow work. Your shadow simply refers to your wounds that you carry from the past. And shadow work helps you confront those and move through those in such a way that they no longer define you or control your actions. When you work with the shadow through journaling, through meditations, through dialogue with other people, even dialogue with yourself and your subconscious, which is my preferred method, you heal the introjections that subconsciously get in the way of you feeling more confident. And when you combine that deeper knowing with real world competence, you get confidence that's grounded in reality. You can look inside and outside for reasons to feel confident. And so when that fear arises or when that doubt arises, which it inevitably will, because it's a part of the human fucking experience, you have enough juice to push through and still do the things you know that you deeply want to do. Whether that's booking that plane ticket, starting that business, going for that job, talking to that woman, whatever you feel like you deeply want to do that you don't quite have that confidence to do, simply by going inside, working on the shadow, alongside building that real world competence, that creates a baseline and a foundation of confidence that you can build your life on top of. Confidence is the guts to believe that with enough work, your life and your future can be better. And with an attitude like that, fucking anything is possible. But to get there, for me, I had to first get honest about the real problem underneath. And although a part of myself was like, oh, that's your body, underneath it, the problem wasn't my body. And I had to admit that to myself to get real, because if you're not tackling the right problem, you're probably not going to find the right solution. That building muscle is always just going to make me more confident. And if I don't feel that I just need to build more muscle, that's one of those false contracts that is not honored by reality by the time we actually get to that result. Shadow work is a skill in the same way that going to the gym is a skill. And if you've trained with any consistency in your life, then surely you've gotten some results, and you've had people be like, oh, well, I could never do that. You're just lucky, or that's just you. Oh, yeah, I could never do that. And you know from experience that anybody can learn. It's just a matter of learning what to do, what not to do, and just sticking with it for long enough to kind of figure it out. And the exact same thing is true for the skills of inner work that help you build that deeper sense of trust and belief in yourself as a man. And if you've never fucking practiced, then that's great news, because then you have a clear reason why if you don't feel that way, it's nothing about you. It just means that there's more work of a particular kind of inner work that stands between you and feeling the way that you want to feel inside. And if you're ready to finally feel that confidence and to get to the root of what is holding you back from that, I have a 12-week program that teaches men the skills of shadow work that they can use in any time they need it, so they can start owning their desires with more confidence and power. It's a simple combination of hard physical training and deep inner work, one-on-one weekly with me. Your body transforms, so does your confidence in yourself as a man, and people fucking notice. Click the link in the description if you want to jump on a call with me and find out more, and I'll see you in the next video.